This is Edo Executive Platform, a program that is designed to bring to bear the policies and programs of Edo State government under the leadership of Musa Godwin Obaseki. It will also provide accurate information about the developmental strides of the government in all the sectors of the state. As the program unfolds, it will afford Edo people and of course residents in the state the opportunity to air their views and also contribute to the development conversation.
I will commit myself to them, and I'll use every ounce of strength that God has given me to work for my people of Edo State.
My name is Habiba Oyege Oyarekwa. This is Edo Executive Platform. My name is Habiba Oyege Oyarekwa, welcoming you to today's edition of the program. We are going to be having a chat with Prince Musa Braimah, the chairman, CEO of Bradmond Nigeria Limited, and of course a chieftain of PDP, Edo State chapter, and a one-time House of Representative aspirant in 2007 under the People's Democratic Party. Sir, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
He's going to give us an assessment of the programs and policies of Mr. Godwin Obaseki's administration. We are going to take a look at education, economy, healthcare, industrialization, law, order, and security. Now, sir, we would like you to give us a brief assessment of Governor Godwin Obaseki's policy with regards to education, because now he has rolled out an ambitious plan to revive the technical education among other initiatives in Edo State.
Yeah, thank you. I think that Godwin Obaseki, the governor of Edo State, so far so good. For me, he's a governor, and he tends to put a policy that will benefit every citizen that lives here in Edo State. And in the area of education, like you likely said, that he has rolled out his policy, I think that in the policy he has rolled out is a policy that must be implemented to the good and wants of the people of Edo State. As we all know, before now, his predecessor, has done very well in the area of revamping and reconstructing the school, which was dilapidated in the time past. And I think that Godwin Obaseki have little to do in the area of trying to enhance and improve in what his predecessor has done. So far, so good. In my personal assessment, in the area of education, is striving. I think he needs the support of all Edolites in order for him to succeed in promoting education. As we all know, education is key. It's important. Everybody needs it. The parents must also encourage the government of the day in order for him to succeed in his policy. Bringing policies on board is most time not too difficult, but implementing those policies is what I think that the government should be looking at. And again, the government under Obaseki must bring all the stakeholders in Edo State together, to look at the cardinal area on how the policies will be sustained and the implementation will also be sustained. For me, I think that Godwin Obaseki is doing well in that regard. He's a technocrat. He came as a technocrat, but today he's a politician. You get me? I also think that in order for him to do well in this area, he must, as a governor of everybody, whether APC, whether PDP, whether those state people, whatever, he's a governor of all. For me, it must bring his ears down and listen and do what is right as he has promised to go with education. For me, it's a good start.
Well, do you say that he's a listening governor?
For all I've seen, in this state, we need no soothsayer to tell us whether the governor listen, because we'll be seeing a lot of projects ongoing, and I think that the governor is ready to do the needful, is ready to work for the good of the people. So as a governor, I think he knows exactly what he's doing.
Okay. Now, talking about running projects, there is a lot of buzz in Edo State as regards the turning of the state from a civil service state to an industrial hub. Now, what do you make of this plan and the projects driving it, such as the seaport, that is the one at Giligili, the industrial park, building materials clusters, and, of course, the focus on agro-allied industries?
Well, I've always have a certain school of thought that there is no state that is a civil servant state. I've always have this school of thought that every state is both civil servant and industrialized state, so to say. But again, it has to do with the man or the driver's seat, talking about the head of the state, the governor, to bring about his policy in device way in the area of saying that, okay, this state, people say it's a civil servant state. What do we generate? How do we industrialize this state and make it really visible as an industrial state? Looking at all the facts on ground, what this government has been doing under His Excellency Godwin Obaseki, I think that it's in the right direction. He has put a perfect template on ground in trying to, turn the state around and make it a viable state that would attract foreign investors and local investors, to begin to see Edo State as a major hub, as a gateway, to boosting economy and, striving for their own investment. I have really followed him to an extent where I also know that he is doing everything to key into the federal policy in the area of diversification, diverting from fuel or petroleum crude oil into agro. He has rolled out a lot of programs to that regard. I've listened. I'm a PDP person. I'm a PDP, and at the same time I'm an Edo person. So I watch his program, and I have heard of what he has in mind for Edo people, trying to convert the state to an industrialized state. So to that regard, for me, the governor is really working towards, area of bringing an employment for the people, because during his campaign slogan, I remember through his campaign manifesto, he promised that he was going to create over 200,000 jobs. For some people, it's a nightmare. For me, it's something you want to say is not possible, But looking at this Giligili seaport agenda, policies that he has put in place. When we heard about Giligili, for someone like me, I was saying, can government, state government, particularly Edo State government, where their location and the IG area is not to compare to Lagos, for example, how are they going to achieve such gigantic projects, But recently I watched on TV, I saw him speaking with some investors from China, or thereabouts, That again spoiled me to say that, yes, this governor and government, though the driver steering it is a technocrat, he knows exactly what he's doing. If the people support him, the Edo people support him, and all the party put together, whether PDP, whether other parties that exist in Edo State, put together, forget about their acrimony, and try to encourage this governor to work in the interest of Edo State. Who are the people that is going to benefit it? It's not PDP, it's not APC, it's everybody, So with that giant strive of Giligili project, if it really come to future, I think that it will go a long way to helping and revitalizing Edo State, turning Edo State from a civil service state to an industrialized state. I want to say that every Edo State person should support the giant strive. It doesn't matter where you are from, whether you are an Edo person or you are a visiting person that lives here in Edo. This is something that is going to benefit Nigeria. And with this Gili seaport I see demand, turning into, I also want to be convinced that very soon, very, very soon, that such government and a very vibrant governor who is ready to work for the good of this state will one day wake up and say that Edo State deserves to have an international airport, side by side with seaport, to promote the inflow of tourism and investors that come in, and Edo people that travel, because we have a lot of Edo people that travel. If you take the statistics of Nigerians abroad, from the last statistic, they were told that we have about 5 million Nigerians abroad. I want to say, without missing a word, without fear of favor, that I think that Edo light abroad is over 1.5 million people. And if we have international airport in Benin, that will again, boost the economy of Edo State.
Now, aside creating jobs and, of course, industrializing Edo State, the government of Obaseki has, as one of its cardinal tasks, talked about developing the primary health system in the state. And, of course, about 25 primary healthcare centers have been earmarked for upgrade before April, among others. How does this focus on healthcare benefit Edo people and, of course, you and I?
Yeah, very well. Good question. I want to say that healthcare is the primary needs of every human existence. And healthcare must be taken to the door of everybody. If we have a primary healthcare system that works, before now, I think that the death rate, would have been reduced to a minimal level. Because if you go to a rural area, you discover that they lack basic healthcare service. I think it's a good policy. I think that Edo people should encourage him, to do it and to do it well. For me, things about governance should be genuine. When you roll out policy of what you want to do, the implementation should be genuine. The men and women that are around you should be people that are up and doing, that will make the policy work. You get me? I think that it's planned to, to decentralize the healthcare system, into various local government and even wards. I think is in the right direction, I will give him kudos for that. Even having the thought at all, as a government, as a person, I think that the Edo people must encourage such man, to bring about this dream of X. Whether PDP, like I'm a PDP member, whether other political party, what we are here for, is how do we make Edo State work again, and that is exactly what I think that he is doing through his policy, and I pray that he should implement it.
We've had pockets of complaints about having the private healthcare benefiting more, hence the primary healthcare may not hold water at the end of the day.
Yes, in many societies, not only here in Nigeria, private healthcare sector, need to benefit more, because public healthcare system has time, though it's 24/7 services. But some of the doctors or the nurses, they work at shift, and that again has not really make it work in the right direction, But what I think the government should do, the policy is there, but the implementation has always been the problem with the government. You get me? There is a policy in the constitution that says that every civil service or public service employer, you know, should not engage in private practice. You get me? So that should be emphasized. You get me? That is, I think when that is properly implemented, you know, that will again strengthen our public healthcare public healthcare system. You know, in that area that mostly when doctors are being employed and they have their own private practice. You get me? They sometimes intend to refer their patients, you know, to their own hospital. You know, that again, government must find a way to put a stop to that.
So that policy will see the light of day.
Definitely, if it's implemented, you know, properly, side by side, you know, I think it will work. That is my take. That's what I feel.
All right. Still to come, we are going to be taking a look at law, order, and security on Edo Executive Platform. We'll be right back.
My mantra, my philosophy is just to build on what existed and to ensure continuity.
Yeah, the vision is turning Edo State to a land of make and honey, consolidating on the gain of the last administration of Commander Ali Oshomole and taking it out of that name called civil service state to an industrial state.
What we've done is to focus on improving our school system, particularly basic education for the long term, but for the short term to now begin to ensure that we create institutions to train technical people, technical manpower. So the first thing we did was to go to Benin Technical College, which was the pioneer technical college in this country, to clean it out and begin to rebuild it and put in the resources to train the kind of people companies will need when they come into the place.
Welcome back to Edo Executive Platform. We still have Prince Musa Braimah giving us an assessment of the programs and policies of the government of Godwin Obaseki. Thank you very much, sir. Now, let's take a look at the law, order, and, of course, security in the state. The state is about to unveil a revamped security infrastructure alongside far-reaching moves like the anti-CDA law passed recently with the backing of the Oba of Benin.
Well, this is long expected. One by now would have think that even by the previous government, down from 1999, should have put in policies that would really work in the area of security. Like we all know, security is something very tactical, you know. It's not something you can owe to one person, you get me? As the law enforcement agencies are planning, strategizing on how to curb security. The criminals as well, they are also planning on how to beat the law enforcement agency, you get me? So I think that whatever the government of the day have in mind to unveil, they should, you know, work it up to 99% before they start unveiling it, because if they unveil it before time, the criminals, the Olums, they will capitalize on it and begin to also fashion out their way on how to beat some of those security systems that the government is about to put in place. Looking at Edo State landmarks, you discover that some of the criminality that is taking place here are mostly not mostly not Edo people, you know. But we know that there's a saying, there's an adage that said that it is the rat in the house that tells the one outside that come in, I will show you the way to go out. You get me? Looking at the CDA stuff that the Oba make pronouncement on, I think it's a welcome development. I think it will, again, help our brothers and sisters, to begin to revive their thinking, you get me? Because prior to this time, when these land grabbers, these land community issues have been ongoing, a lot of criminality increased, because many of these land grabbers that so claim to come from certain communities, if you find that they were not from those communities, most of the funds they were raising from those communities, majority of it, I'm sorry to say, was used in procuring arms.
So they were using it to enrich themselves?
Yes, enrich themselves and procure arms because they have a target. For example, when they no longer have lands to sell, they will be looking at the other community and how to go in and invade them and, take their land from them forcefully, But since this pronouncement from the palace, the thing has really reduced criminality drastically in Edo State. Though it has its ripple effect, those that are the lazy ones who have sold land previously and they didn't quite utilize it, and they have arms to themselves, they want to likely use it for something else, But I want to say in all that the government and the palace working side by side in this area as it concerns CDAs and all of these things, I think that it is in the right direction, and I think that the government must do everything within the government power to ensure that security is taken very seriously, where the life and property of every Edolite is well protected. Because for investors that want to come and invest in Edo State, the first thing they look at, I'm a businessman, I've traveled far and wide, and when we are going on outsourcing, to outsource for business, to bring in investors, the first thing they do say is how secure our state is, you get me? So if there's a tight security policy put in place and proper implementation to it, I would be convinced that most of our investors that that want to come and invest in Edo State will be glad to come, you get me? Because life comes first before business, that we must know. So government must take security very seriously. In that regard, I know that from what I've seen, Edo State is not very peaceful compared to before. I want to say, in my own personal opinion, this is not the opinion of my political party, I want to say that His Excellency Godwin Obaseki is doing well in that regard. Every Edolite must come, must support. It is only so that security will work. Because I live in Germany, All the years I live in Germany, and even before I traveled to Germany, I was told Germany is a police country. I go to Germany, I got to say that, yes, it's true. Germany is a police country. How do they police it? Community policing. Necessarily don't mean that there must be a community police put in place, but everybody must be an informant of everybody. You must watch you must watch your neighbor's back. Your neighbor must watch your back. You get me? It is only so we can curb security menace in this state. I know my neighbor. My neighbor knows me. So if a strange person come into my street, I will know it's a strange person. You get me? I will watch and I will know. If a strange person continue to drive into my street year in, day out, I should be able to want to be concerned. What is this person doing? This is community policing. You get me? I think the government of Edo State, under this APC, led by Governor Godwin Obaseki, should also encourage, the citizens, to report. There should be a special line for this, to report any suspicious movement around their neighborhood. You get me? Whether in our communities, whether in the urban or the rural area, You know, Edo State is Edo State. People who want to invest in Edo State, they want to go to rural area where we have the minerals.
Yeah.
You get me? So we should encourage community form of policing, you know, encourage collective responsibility, you know, among ourselves, you know, in order for it to work. In all, I think the governor
is doing well,
yes.
Because lives and properties are now safer than it used to be. Okay, now let's talk about the maintenance of law and order with regards to traffic and, of course, sanitation in the state. How would you give an assessment? I mean, what is your assessment?
Oh, well, I think I was actually waiting for this question. You know, now that it has come, I'm glad. You know. Yes, the traffic management this government has put in place. This has been in existence during the time of his predecessor, you know. I want to give kudos particularly to His Excellency Governor Godwin Obaseki. He has done seriously well in this very regard of ESMAN, you know. ESMAN, I've come across them very well. I have seen that the kind of training, the kind of men and women that is in this traffic management agency is like they are not from Edo State. It's like they were brought from outside, you get me? The way they comport themselves, the way, when you even beat traffic, you know, the way they will caution you, and when you explain to them politely, they will just tell you don't do it again, they will allow you to go, you know?
Are you trying to say that we never had that kind of orientation before?
The system we're operating before, you see, we are advancing in democracy. I want to tell you that even the one that will come after him will be better than him. You see, we are advancing. As far as we are advancing in democracy, things will continue to advance. You get me? And get really better, you know. In terms of what is on ground today, as I can see, personally, in my own opinion, the ESMAN, they are doing very greatly. Whoever that is managing that ESMAN is doing very well, and the government of the day must not reduce the quality that they are operating on. You get me? The government of the day must assist ESMAN to grow. It's an agency. It's an agency that is even going to remain after this government. It should be its pride. It should be its baby. It must nurture it very well. It must, so that it will have a reference point to say, yes, in spite of I brought Gele Gele in my time, in spite of I introduced care policies that worked, in spite of all I've done improving security, but again, I brought an agency that is striving and generating funds into the coffer of the IGR of the state. You get me? What I've discovered about that the Edo State Management, Edo State Traffic Management Agency, ESMAN, is not only an agency to, you know, to generate funds. That is even not what they are really out for. They are out to maintain the menace of traffic. You get me?
To change people's psyche.
Exactly, and also to put people right. You get me? So I think they are doing well. We must, as individuals, collectively, must also encourage them to do better. We must respect them. For me, I give them respect.
All right, on that note, we'll bring the program to a close. I would like to say a big thank you to Prince Musa Braimah, Chairman, CEO, Broadmont Nigeria Limited, and of course, a chieftain of PDP Edo State chapter, and a one-time House of Representative aspirant under the PDP in 2007. Thank you so very much for coming on the program.
Thank you, madam.
And like you said, government is a collective responsibility of all Of course, when we talk about education, economy, healthcare, industrialization, law, order, security, sanitation, we must join hands with this government to make sure that all these policies are translated. It's not just about the man that is the driver. It's about all of us. It is our collective responsibility. Thank you so very much for watching. My name remains Habiba Oye Oyarekwa.